Hey guys, welcome to Motoroids. My name is Amit and this is the Tata Tiago EV, the most economical electric vehicle in the country right now. And as we know, Tata has democratized electric vehicles in India. The Nexon has been a runaway success. A lot of people have bought that car. The EV Max has extended the range. The Tiago EV is also there. However, we have seen that most of the people who buy an EV buy it as a second vehicle, as they don't rely on it for its long range. Even now there is some range anxiety and there are people who want an electric car as their second car. However, if you're looking for a new car, this probably can be the only car in your garage if you want an economical car and if your running is not out of the town. If you require a car primarily for city purposes, for your commute to work or probably for running some errands, this can be the perfect city car for you. Even if you want just one car, this can be your car unless you want to get out. So I want to be very clear about this one fact, that the range on this car does not enable it to become a car that you can use for outstation travel unless you have charging stations along the way. Today in this video, I'm going to let you know everything that you need to know about this beautiful little car from Tata, which I think is going to go a long way in further democratizing electric vehicles in India. Now the Tiago has been around for quite some time and you know the shape, but with the electric car you have certain details like this blue highlight, and generally I believe that Tiago has been one of the most beautiful exercises in design by Tata. It's simplistic but very well proportioned. Now you get this DRL here, you have a fog lamp, you have projector headlamp, and then you have a reflector as well. You have this electric special grille with the Tata triple arrow design, and you have this .ev marking here, triple arrow design here as well. And overall it looks very nice. The bumper is also very nicely extended here to give it that subtle hint of aggression. Overall a very nicely done car. Of course it's a basic car, so it doesn't have a 360-degree camera, but it is done nicely, and it doesn't also have the front parking sensors. I also like how this chrome highlight looks over this headlamp, and generally the face of this car is very beautiful, very nice, charming and cute. It's not a very big car in terms of design. If you really compare it, it's smaller than the Swift, the Altros and the Baleno, and that's what really that keeps the price of this car low. Now on the sides you'll see these EV special wheels which look really nice. They are Apollo tires, Amazer XP 175 section, 14 inches, but the grip from these tires could have been better. I think Tata have employed these cars to extend the range, but if you're going up the inclines with the gravel, you very clearly see that the grip is not there, and on the road also it's very easy to make them scream. So you have to understand that this is not a sports car and you have to drive it accordingly. Tires definitely could have had more grip. On the right you have blacked out ORVMs with blinkers. You also get this piano black insert on the door handles. And another great thing is that you have this contrasting roof that looks really nice. Overall in profile also this car looks pretty good, and you have this traditional antenna at the rear. Also, just like the front, Tata have kept things simple. There are a few elements that you would probably want to notice. You have this Tiago.ev branding here, a high mount stop lamp, although the lighting at the rear is completely bulbs. You don't have any LED elements to keep costs low. It looks very well proportioned and nice though. And a highlight here is this electric release tailgate. It's not an electric tailgate, but the release is electric, and once you open it you'll see that you have a 240 liters of boot space here, which is good for a small suitcase, maybe two of them, and then some bags. So it's okay for a smallish weekend getaway with 2 or 3 members, but not enough for a long holiday. Of course, as I mentioned, this is not a car meant for outstation travel anyway. This being an EV, there is no spare wheel, and that's something that you need to remember. Now let's get to the electric part, and that's the part I know you are the most interested in, and this is where you get to charge it. Now before I get into the nitty-gritties, let me put things in perspective, tell you about how much battery capacity this car has and how it stacks up against other cars which are from the Tata stable only in terms of its range and its power. Now this one here comes in two variants. There is one 24 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is the more expensive one, and you also have a 19.2 kilowatt hour battery pack, which gives you a lesser range. The long range one gives you 315 kilometers of MIDC range, while the medium range will give you 250 kilometers of range. Now in real world, of course, these range numbers are going to be less, and in my experience the 315 kilometers long range vehicle is going to get you a little less than 200 kilometers in the real world, and the 250 kilometer medium range car is going to get you about 150 to 160 kilometers. You can add an additional 20 kilometers to that number if you're driving very carefully. So the maximum number would be about 220 and about 170-80 for the two cars respectively. The acceleration of the bigger battery pack is 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds, while the medium range gets you to 60 in 6.2 seconds. Power on the medium range is 60.3 PS, while on the long range one is 73.75 PS. Torque is 110 and 114 Nm respectively. This car also comes with a sport mode, but when the charge goes down below 25%, you cannot drive it in sport mode. Also, when the charge goes down below 10%, the car goes in limp mode, where the speed is restricted to less than 55 kilometers per hour. Now, to put things in perspective, the Tigor gets 2 kilowatt hour more at 26 kilowatt hour, and the Nexon EV gets 6 kilowatt hour more at 30.2 kilowatt hour. The EV Max though has a significant advantage at 40.5 kilowatt hour, and the range there also is significantly more at 437 kilometers. So this is the minimum, which is 19.2 to 24, and the maximum is 40.5, and 30.2 is the Nexon EV, which is about 6 kilowatt hour more. So that explains the kind of range that Tata has: 24, 26, 30 and 40 kilowatt hours of battery packs. The good thing is that you get 8 years and 1,60,000 kilometers of warranty on the battery, and on the product also. This car comes with a warranty of 3 years and 1.2 lakh kilometers, which is pretty good. Now let's have a look at this charging socket as well. And to open it, you have this lever here, which you have to pull like so. And now the flap here is open. You also get a 15 ampere charger with this car as standard, and this is how it looks like. It would make sense for me to show it to you right now. This is the charger that you will get, and this is the part that goes into the socket here, and this is the part that will go into a 15 ampere wall mounted socket. So this is the charger that you'll get with the car, but this is not the only option. You have a variety of options to charge your car, and let me tell you all about that. Now, if you're charging this car from any 15 ampere plug point, it will take 6.9 hours for the medium range to charge from 10 to 100%, and 8.7 hours for the long range to charge from 10 to 100%. Also, this car can be had with a wall box charger, and the charging times are similar for that charging option as well. However, you can also get 7.2 kilowatt AC fast charger option for a couple of variants on this car, and with that option you can have the medium range vehicle charged in 2.6 hours and the long range vehicle charged in 3.6 hours. However, if you go with the DC fast charging option, you can charge from 10 to 80% in 58 minutes flat for the medium range, and again in 58 minutes flat for the long range as well. So those are the charging times. Generally speaking, from 10% to 100%, if you don't go for a fast charging option, it will take about 7 to 8 hours is the rough ballpark that you need to know about. Now, before I use this key, let me also tell you that this car comes with rain sensing wipers and auto headlamps, which is a fantastic feature for a small car like this. And as you saw, the mirrors fold, so when you unlock the car, they'll open, and if you have the key in your pocket, you won't have to take it out, because you just have to press this button and you can open the door like so. Now, as I mentioned, it's not a very premium car, it's a small car, so the interiors are not very fancy. The materials used are not soft to touch or very premium, but they are nicely done, they are neat. However, in some places you do feel that the quality could have been a little better and the finish could also have been a little better, but generally there is nothing to complain about. Now here, as you can see, there is some space, but you really have to shove a 1 liter bottle in this compartment. There is not enough space, but you actually can fit a 1 liter bottle if you shove it in, but it's not a natural place for a 1 liter bottle. You get these chrome door pulls, which is nice, an armrest, and the driver's side window is one touch down. You also get electric mirrors and a fold function as well. The driver's seat is height adjustable, and you also get this leatherette option with this contrasting blue stitching on the top of the line variants. There are many variants, and for the medium range you have 2 base variants, and for the long range you have the top 3 variants. The medium range model is not available in the top variants. So that's what you have to remember. If you want to go with the medium range, you will not get the features that you're getting on the long range, more expensive version. I'll also tell you the prices by the time we finish this review. However, let's get going with the features that we have inside this car, and there are plenty for a car this size and this price. Now, the one thing that I'm not very fond of about this rotary drive selector is that sometimes it doesn't select the drive mode that you want to be in, and you keep rotating it and it takes its own sweet time in selecting the desired mode. So for example, if you're turning around, it may take more time than you generally take with other drive selectors. So this could have been a little bit more precise and faster. It works, but it could definitely have been better. This car also comes with hill assist and hill descent assist as well. Now let's put it in drive and turn it around so that I can show you the dashboard as well. So as you can see right now, I'm trying to put it in reverse, but it took a little while before the mode got selected. Again, it's taking a bit of time. Now the steering wheel here is only adjustable for the tilt angle, and quite understandably so. If you look at the instrument console, it's rather simplistic. There's not too much information, but all the information you need is right there. Here you have the charge. You have 4 region modes to choose from. So this is the region off. You have region 1, 2 and 3 levels, but the region on this car is not very strong. Even on level 3, the deceleration doesn't seem to be very strong. And you can see the region modes working. I'll show it to you at a later point in time in action here. Now, it shows you the remaining range, the battery charge, and it also shows you the consumption of energy, the average energy consumption, which is 170 watt-hour per kilometer at this point in time for the trip B. This is not the ideal consumption because we have parked the car for a very, very long time while we were shooting it. So these are not the ideal numbers. You also get 2 trip meters, and you also get a TPMS, and you can use this button here to reset the TPMS. You can control the region modes from here. You also have this button for the electric tailgate release, and a 7-inch screen is also there. It's not the richest of the screens that I've seen. It's quite functional. Comes with a 8-speaker system, which is quite good for this segment. It also comes with the Z Connect app, which comes with 45 connected car features, and you can remotely control some functions of the car using your phone, and this is how the app looks like. We have seen these kind of apps earlier as well, and it has a lot of functions including the driver behavior. So it comes loaded with a lot of features and is enabled with things like geofencing and other things that you expect from a connected car app. The sound system is pretty good, comes with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, although navigation has to be used only with your phone. It doesn't come with a native navigation system. Now, while the audio system sounds very good, the problem here is that the touch response and the resolution on the screen is not all that great, and this can definitely be improved. There's a lot of space to store your things around. So as you can see, this area I have put my wallet and cell phone. You have 2 cup holders, and you have another bottle holder here as well. You can put your key here. You have a 12-volt power socket, a USB socket right here. AC is automatic across all segments, so that's a fantastic thing. You have these blue highlights in the cabin. The dimming on the ORBM is manual, and you have a vanity mirror on the passenger side as well. The seats are not the plushest, but I do understand that this is not a very premium car, but these seats are okay for medium distances, not the widest or the plushest seats that I have come across. They can definitely be better, but I'm not complaining because I know that this is not a very expensive car. The glove box also comes with the cooling function, which is a great thing to have. The one thing that I can probably complain about is that since this is an electric car and it's a modern car, it probably could have had wireless charging, and that's a feature that doesn't cost too much, and I would have really appreciated had Tata provided that feature as well. Now this car is based on the Tiago, which has a GNCAP rating of 4 stars, which is pretty good for a small car, and even with 2 airbags, this offers really good safety. Let's see how much space we have in the back seat as well. Now, unlike the front, you actually can easily fit a 1-liter water bottle here, and you also have some space to spare, and for a small car this has a decent amount of space, although it's not very generous. But you have enough space under the seat to move your feet around, which is a very good thing. The headroom is decent, and people who are up to 5'11", 6 should not have any problem. You get this light here, and there is a provision for the seating of a third person also, and you get this lap belt here. This is not a very big car, so seating 3 people abreast is not going to be very comfortable. 2 people can travel in comfort. The suspension on this car is very good. The headrest, although, are not height adjustable, so that probably would have improved the comfort. Not the most spacious or the most comfortable cars to be in. It's a small car. As you can see, the thigh support also isn't as much as you have in some bigger cars. However, for its size, I think it provides decent amount of room, but definitely not the most spacious car. I would have also appreciated had the seat been 60-40 split, although it folds down, but it's not 60-40 split, and an armrest here would really have improved the comfort factor here. You also don't have a rear AC vent. So quite a few features are missing, but again, as I said, I understand that because this is not a car from the premium segment, but I think in the next update these features may be included on this car as well. Overall, a decent backbench. The comfort is good from a suspension standpoint, but the roominess and everything isn't something really great to write home about. Now, the one standout feature of the Tiago EV is its supple, comfortable, very absorbent suspension system, and even on bad roads like this, it keeps you supremely comfortable. It's rather well insulated too, and if comfort is on your priority list, it's going to plaster a big smile on your face. So like all Tatas, suspension here is a highlight, and you won't be disappointed if you're looking for a very comfortable car. The ground clearance also for a small hatchback is pretty generous at about 165 mm, and for the most part, even on bad roads or if you take it off the road as well, this car does reasonably well, although it's not as good as, say, the Nexon or the other sub 4 meter SUVs where you have about 200 mm of ground clearance. So while good for a small hatchback, the ground clearance sometimes when you take it off the road can be a limiting factor, but generally the suspension is very good and the clearance is good enough to take most of the bad roads and some soft roading also in its stride. Now, the power delivery here is not manic like some other EVs in the higher segments, where you get a very strong acceleration and you get pushed back into the seat. It feels more like an everyday car, and the power here is more controllable. There is a very perceptible difference when you put it in the sport mode, and as you just heard, there is some wheel spin as well. Now, about the wheel spin, the tires here could probably have been better, as I mentioned earlier as well, and the performance from the rubber here is not all that great. Even in dry conditions, I experienced wheel spin many a times, and the moment you take the car on gravelly surfaces, the tires start spinning, and even if there is a small incline, the car struggles to climb up. So that's one suggestion I have for Tata Motors, that the tires can probably be a little wider and the compound can also be a little different. I understand that the tires that they have been used to increase the range, but I think the grip is slightly compromised. The steering is reasonably light at low speeds, although it does gain reasonable amount of weight also as you increase speed. I think it's a good balance. It doesn't feel overly light, neither does it feel overly weighty, and it feels reasonably neutral too. It's not a fun steering, it's not full of feedback like the ones on, say, the Volkswagen Polo, but it's a decent everyday steering. It isn't dead. It allows you to place the car reasonably well on the road, and with the appreciable performance that the Tiago EV has to offer, the power here is not much if you go by the specs, but being an EV, the torque is available right from the word go, and the acceleration is pretty good, although it's not manic, but it's sufficient. Overtaking acceleration is pretty good. If you're at 80-100 kilometers per hour and you want to make a quick overtake move, the response from the motor is instantaneous, and you get a very good performance for a small car. So performance wise, I have no problems whatsoever. The tires probably could have been better. The steering could have had more precision and feedback, but I understand that this is not a sporty drive. Also, on that note, if you want to be chucking this car around, the tires are a bit of a limiting factor. There is a reasonable amount of body roll also, but in its own way, this can be a cute little fun peppy car that you use on a day-to-day basis and use its quick torque to have some fun when you're around bends also. Very well put together, good insulation. In terms of its range, I believe that if you are going to be driving it in a variety of conditions, the battery is going to max out at about 200 kilometers. That's like the upper ceiling. If your driving also involves very hard acceleration and places where the car doesn't get enough time to regen, that range can also be reduced to 170, 180 kilometers. But 200, in my personal opinion, is the upper limit. And the same for the medium range vehicle would, in my opinion, would be about 150 to 170 kilometers. So if you're looking for a real world number on the range, for the long range it's 200 ceiling, and for the medium range it's about 160 ceiling. As I mentioned earlier also though, if you're going to be driving this car carefully and it gets enough chance to regen, the number can go up to 220 kilometers, and you can add 20 kilometers to the upper range if you know how to drive this car properly as an EV. You get cruise control also here, and as I mentioned before, the regen on this car even on level 3 is not very strong. So when you take your foot off the accelerator pedal, you don't feel the regen kicking in as strongly as on some other cars. Overall, I generally don't have any problem with the performance or the way this car moves, the steering, the suspension, the insulation. All of that has been very well done, and for city runs as well as the highways, this car will do its job rather well. It's not a sporty drive, it's not very comfortable, and it's a nice balance for what it's supposed to do. Now the thing that I absolutely love about this car is, unlike a few other cars which would make you spend 17-18 lakh rupees if you wanted to buy an EV, this car can actually be bought for the price of say a Swift or a Baleno. I'm talking about the medium range version, which means that someone who's looking for his first car and knows that he doesn't have to go out of town very often can have this as his first car as well. And in terms of savings, that would mean really a lot for people who are very budget conscious. So for example, if you have an average car and if you run it for 1,000 kilometers, which is generally the running for a car if you're running it in a typical town, you would spend about 1100 to 1200 on this car. But if you drive a petrol car, you'll pay about 7500 roughly for that kind of mileage, and that translates into a saving of about 6 to 6500 rupees, which is great for someone who's very budget conscious. So if you're looking at savings, this car can really save you a ton of money and can pay for itself. Even if it's a little more expensive than the other cars that you're willing to buy, a petrol car can pay for itself over a few years. Now let me talk about the prices of this car as well. And for the medium range variant, the price of this car ranges from 8.5 to 10 lakh rupees ex showroom, and the long range variant costs 9.1 to 11.8 lakh rupees ex showroom. Now as you would know, for that price you would either get a Baleno or a Swift or maybe the lower variant of the Venue, and the savings that you'll make on this car, especially if your running is quite a lot, would be phenomenal. If you compare it with the Tigor EV, the Tigor EV is available for 12.5 to 13.75 lakh rupees, and the Nexon EV is available for 15 to 17.5 lakh rupees. The EV Max is expensive though at 18.5 to 20 lakh rupees. So as you can see, the price of this car is actually the lowest in India right now. I hear that the MG is also coming with the Air EV, and the price of that vehicle may undercut this, but then again the space on that car won't be as much, and in absolute terms this is the most economical EV that you can buy today. And if your running is not too much and you generally use your car for running about in the city, I think it's a fantastic choice. And especially if you are environmentally conscious, or if budget or the expenses on fuel is something that you're really looking to cut down, this is one of the best options you have on the market right now. I really hope that I was able to explain this car to you in great detail. If you liked the video, hit the like button, subscribe to Motroids, and until next time, this is Amit Chhangani signing off. Rev hard, rev free, and drive safe.